the worst.
What?
Come on.
Yoo-hoo!
Let's begin with a basic explanation of the class trial. So, your vote, if you can figure out who done it, and I'll punish everyone besides the Blackhead. Now then.
We already know who did it.
Was that?
It was Hiro. He does not have an alibi for when the murder. Don't try and deny.
I didn't!
Shut your murdering mouth, murderer!
How are you calling a murder?
I am sorry to say, Hiro. Blueprints for the suit. Parts we assume were you, and all of it was found in your. It points to you as having.
How many times do I have to tell you? I don't know, I don't know, I don't know!
Everything we found in your room. The blueprints, the suit parts, they are.
Nothing's wrong.
Are we sure Hiro really made those?
What do you mean?
Well, take a look at it's the note that Hiro wrote. The handwriting's obviously when you compare it to the blueprints.
There's no way you could think the same person made both.
Unless that person made it a point to disguise their handwriting.
No, the difference.
Come on! I'm not smart.
So Makoto, are you?
And he's not the only one.
Then who was in that robo-justice? Is it like Hiro said?
The suspicious individual. Go ahead, Makoto. Tell them who it was.
So?
I got it! Other than Hiro, I can't think of anyone else. Obviously, he was the one in that particular.
Then there can be no doubt.
That doesn't make any sense.
It makes perfect sense. Hiro was the suspicious individual.
So what you're saying?
That's right. The culprit in this case has nothing to do with being.
What? Now that's a bold assumption. And what reason do you have to make such a statement?
Of course. There's something else we need to clarify first.
Hey, stop trying to boss us around.
All things.
So what is it?
We must. It would seem that his Makoto can.
I got it! I got it! They were So Taka's body disappeared from the equipment room, and then we rediscovered it in the repository. And when we found it for the second time, it was the same tarp that up until then was stored in. So the killer must have seen it there. That way, they wouldn't.
Okay.
Same thing. I'm sure the dolly was in the. But when the body disappeared, so. Later, when Taka's body reappeared in the repository, so did the dolly.
In other words, you think they used. But are you sure you are not
Huh?
Are you absolutely positive the dolly was in the equipment room? That dolly was made specifically for moving. It would be very strange indeed. Is it not possible that it was...
She's raised an objection.
There is no shame in being wrong. We have all accepted the fact that you rarely... You have it wrong! I cannot agree! You are a fool! So pathetic! Lies will get you nowhere! Do your worst! Away with you! You miserable wretch! You have it wrong! I cannot agree! You are a fool! Lies will get you nowhere! Do your worst, you miserable wretch! I cannot agree!
This should prove it.
If you're asking for proof that when I found the dolly in the repository, there was a pool of blood in the killer probably rolled the dolly, and as the blood dried on the tire, they moved. So there's my proof that...
Well, anyway,
Yeah, the subject of how... What kind of robot is it?
I'm not sure.
I'd be happy to explain if you look back on how the body was... As we know, Taka was killed in the equipment room. And from there, the body was moved to the...
Yeah, the culprit then loaded it onto the dolly and wheeled it off, right?
Now, keep in mind that the dolly...
Well, yeah, but even without a handle, all you'd have to do is bend over.
No, it's wrong! You're absolutely right that you could push a dolly with, but if you were wearing that suit, do you think you could actually get into a position like that?
What do you mean?
Think back to what you said when we were all checking out the suit. When you're in that suit, not only can you not see your feet, but you can't even bend at the waist. Am I right about that?
Now that you mention it...
It seems like it'd be awfully...
Well, what's this...
When you can't even see your feet?
Yeah, it'd be totally impossible. Not that...
On top of that, if you were wearing... It's very unlikely.
Well, I mean, isn't that just a matter of taking off the suit when you're ready to move the body?
I got it! I don't think taking off the suit was an option. If you remember...
That's true. It seems impossible to put the suit on or take it off without help.
Then... You really can't take it off by yourself?
Of course I wasn't making it up.
If he could have gotten it off by himself, I don't think he would have let us see him wearing it. Showing up in the suit was basically an...
Yeah, that's right!
So... It's...
To be clear, whoever did move the body...
No, wait. Just a second, if... You all got a good look at it, did you not? The image, if whoever was in that suit... Besides, do you remember... So long as those facts exist, the proper conclusion is beyond the individual inside the suit. Yeah.
Hold on a second!
It's still far too... Besides, there's no... Before we rush to a verdict, instead of seizing on one viewpoint,
Perhaps, but where do we go?
let's review this series of unfortunate events from the beginning.
What a pain in...
I don't disagree, but our lives are on the line. If this is what it takes, we have to do it.
Plus, maybe we'll get to find out where the heck Kyoko was when everything went down.
Alright then. I suppose we could start. 4 of us gathered together in the We waited there for quite a while. That was around.
And as soon as we split,
Soon after that, Hina found That was when we saw Celeste's picture and discovered that her assailant, as it turns out, it also soon became. We were soon joined in our search. He was injured, so we but not long after leaving.
When Celeste told us that, we decided to split up and search the second floor. And soon after that,
I saw someone moving around on the 3rd floor, and I yelled out to everyone.
and then... At that point, we decided to divide up into 2 groups. Celeste, Hina, and I went back to the nurse's office, while Sakura, Byakuya, and Toko when we got back to the nurse's office, and that's when we heard the body discovery announcement. I left Celeste and Hina there and headed back to...
Meanwhile, we must have found both bodies at almost because we heard the same announcement not long after we
And that's when I told you guys about Hifumi. Then the 3 of us headed for the nurse's office. But right after we left the physics, we ran into Celeste. We rushed back to the nurse's office and saw that she was right.
Then we remembered we'd left Toko. But when we got there, next thing we knew, we were searching the school for 2 missing dead bodies. And after some time,
Celeste informed us that she'd found, which is where we...
I think that...
I see. It certainly seems to me that these...
Okay, well, if that's true, then what?
Rather than a single series of events, and from there, we can uncover the... Now then, let's get started. So, regarding Taka's death, I wonder if he died before Hifumi, or perhaps it was after?
We already know what order they were killed in. Taka came last.
what makes you say that?
Because of the numbering of the Justice Hammers.
It's true that Hifumi was killed with Justice Hammer 3, while Taka's death came from a swing of Justice Hammer 4.
See? So it's obvious Taka came after.
So, regarding Taka's death, I wonder if he died before Hifumi, or perhaps it was after?
We already know what order they were killed in. Taka came last.
What makes you say that?
Because of the numbering of the justice.
It's true that Hifumi was killed with Justice Hammer, while Taka's death came from...
See? So it's obvious Taka came after.
So, regarding, I wonder if, or perhaps it was after.
We already know what Taka came last.
What makes you say that?
Because of the numbering of the Justice Hammer.
It's true that Hifumi was killed with while Taka's death...
See? So it's obvious Taka came after.
So, I wonder if, or perhaps it was.
We already know what order they were. Taka came last.
What makes you say that?
Because of the number.
It's true that Hifumi, while Taka's death...
See? So it's obvious Taka came...
So, I wonder if he died before Hifumi, or perhaps it was after.
We already know what order they were killed.
No, it's wrong! Hold on. There's no reason to assume that the hammers were used in the same order as their numbers. If anything, that's just...
So you're saying the culprit, but in reality, Taka was killed before Hifumi? Okay then, let's see the proof.
Wristwatch, see? Look!
It must have gotten broken when he was attacked by the killer. So if it wasn't broken after 6 last night...
And that would be his
But if that's true, then he was...
And before Celeste was attacked this morning. Which...
That's right. Taka was killed before...
That simple fact slipped past all... We made the wrong assumption about the...
That's exactly why the culprit wrote the numbers on each hammer. That way, when we saw how they were used in each incident, we...
Now, if Taka was killed because when he was killed, we hadn't met up in the dining hall yet.
That may be true in the case of Taka's murder. But all of our...
That's right. When we heard Hifumi screaming, we were all together. Except for Hiro and Kyoko. Then we all ran down to the nurse. That's totally true. We're all in the...
Oh, I know! They must have recorded him screaming.
If that's true...
I don't know.
Don't just go making stuff...
Anyway, we all have... Since all of us were...
And it does not stop there. When his body vanished from Hina and I were in the bathroom together, while everyone else... And then, there's the disappearance of Taka at that time. We were all gathered together... Well, don't forget, I was passed out in the equipment room the whole time.
Wait, then what if Genocide Jill did it? She could have dragged Taka.
Even if she could pull that off, there's no way, because, as we just established...
Besides, I didn't do either of them anyway. In other words, it is impossible that any... On the other hand, Hiro and Kyoko had this...
For now, we can't get fixated on who did it. So instead of who, in particular, I think we need to...
That's true. We searched, and according to what Celeste said... His body apparently disappeared, but to carry that much weight...
Oh man, yeah!
Well, what if I told you there...
What? How?
With the dead body.
The dead body?
I don't think it has anything to do... We thought Hifumi was dead, but perhaps...
Are you saying Hifumi wasn't carried out?
But I mean, we found
Perhaps he was simply playing dead.
that it isn't possible.
Are you saying that when we first found Hifumi in the nurse's office, there's a chance he was actually still alive?
No, it is impossible. Hifumi was dead, without a doubt.
And you know that how?
Surely you heard the body discovery announcement along Hifumi's dead body had been found, and that is why the announcement.
Are we really so sure? Maybe the announcement was intended to signal someone else's discovery.
Are you saying that when we first found Hifumi, there's a chance he...
No, it is impossible. Hifumi was dead, without a doubt.
And you know that how?
Surely you heard the body discovery announcement along with the rest. Hifumi's dead body had been found.
No, that's wrong! Was the body discovery announcement that was made really intended for Hifumi?
Of course it was. The announcement played right after we discovered his body.
Maybe. But that was all.
That's right. It wasn't long after...
So there's a good chance we've made a mistake in there. I think we've confused whether the announcement was for Hifumi.
First of all, if 2 bodies had been found, there really...
Maybe Monokuma simply got lazy.
What do you say, Monokuma?
Well, it's a very... But what I can say about it's only broadcast when...
That didn't answer our question, man.
No, actually, that was plenty. He said it's only broadcast. Even if we find the same body again, if that's true, then why was the...
Huh? Later on?
Exactly. We heard the... I got it! We heard it a second time in the repository. When... It didn't seem weird at the time, but it contradicts what Monokuma just told us.
Exactly. If we were actually rediscovering both bodies, the announcement shouldn't have played.
And in reality, when the 2 dead bodies were rediscovered for the...
So, when we found Hifumi, the first meaning, he wasn't actually found dead until we came upon him in the repository.
And that's just... There's one other thing that leads me to believe he was still alive in the nurse's office.
Oh, I know! Because he was super good at playing dead! Bada bing, bada boom!
That is the worst logic I have ever heard. But honestly, I do.
Okay then, let's take another look at the event. It should become clear.
This whole thing. Well, here's one thing we do know. The first time we found Hifumi's body was in the nurse's office. And then, while me and Celeste were in his body disappeared.
And the next time we saw his body, it was in the repository.
But when you compare his body before being moved and his body after, other than the change in how it, there was no notable difference.
Then, was he really still alive?
Of course not. It is impossible. Well, here's one. The first time we found him, and then his body
And the next time, it was in.
But when you compare his body before being moved, other than the change in how it was, there was no notable difference.
No, he's wrong. In fact, there was one clear difference between Hifumi in the nurse's office and the repository. His glass, that fact alone proves that he was only playing dead in the beginning.
Perhaps you'd like to kill the rest of us?
When we found Hifumi in the nurse's office, his glass... But when we found him again, they were spotless. And I found the item he used. I got it! It was a glasses cleaning cloth featuring a certain cartoon. One look at the bloodstain on the cloth should this piece of cloth was, and the mascot on the cloth is the same one that's on the digital camera, right? And whose digital camera was it?
The character was Princess Piggles from Demon Angel Pretty Pudgy's Princess.
I highly doubt any...
I see your point.
I wouldn't be caught dead using a tattoo piece.
A few dishes is all I need to keep my glasses.
Then there's no question.
So
What I'm saying is,
We don't know if that is true.
but who would benefit from a clean pair of glasses other than the glasses owner?
That's a good.
And it must have been him, right?
So let's assume that Hifumi was still alive in the nurse's office. He pretends to be dead. Then when he's alone, he wipes his glasses clean so he can then he stands up, and with that, the impossible task.
But then, if he was just... What was with all that blood?
The fridge in the nurse's office contains packs of...
He figured if he was gonna play dead, but he got crazy with it and had to wipe his glasses off when he was done. Cold-blooded.
And if Hifumi was still alive, it should be perfectly...
I got it! It could only have been Hifumi.
While we were all gathered in the nurse's office,
That also explains...
The door was locked? Well, after the bodies disappeared, so me and Sakura had... But when we got there...
And the repository door, which means when Hina and Sakura...
and it could only have been
He convinced us all he was dead. And when he saw his chance, he dragged Taka's body to the... So, Hifumi wasn't just...
But that means.
If you're having trouble, would you...
There's...
Oh, absolutely. The single biggest... You know what I'm talking about, right, Makoto? The item he took off of Taka's lifeless body?
I got it! You're talking about the note Hifumi had hidden away, aren't you?
Hidden note?
That's right.
What? In him?
Yes, his pants.
Well, forget about the pants for now. Take a look at what the note says.
That's the note I was... Huh? Wait, Monokuma can't see.
Then this note isn't the same one Hiro got.
It's not the...
In other words, and that person could only have been... I got it! That's right! The killer used...
Hello? Over here! Objection! Objection! I don't really understand what's going on. So whoever wrote it was... Ugh! Yes! Why must you ruin it every time? Puppy had the note, right? Then the person it was intended for must have been Huffy!
But remember what the note said.
What time did it say?
6 a.m.
The time doesn't matter! The note has nothing to do with TikTok!
No, it's wrong! No! There absolutely is a connection.
What the hell are you talking about?
The note said to meet at 6 a.m., which is the same time Taka was murdered. You've already proven that, but there's more. Look where the note says to meet. The equipment room, right?
Which is where Taka was killed. I see.
So, Taka, I think that should be plenty to show that this note was definitely meant for Taka.
Well, when you put it like that...
No further objections!
Then someone used that note to trick Taka. Just the same as me. The culprit really is a cold-blooded monster.
But if they gave the note to Taka, what was Hifumi doing with it?
Down his pants, no less!
Most likely, Hifumi stole it off Taka's corpse after he died.
Where's your proof?
I got it! When I searched Taka's body, I saw that his lifeless hand was gripping a small scrap of paper. If I'm right about this, the sheet of paper this piece came from is... I knew it! It fits perfectly with the note we found hidden on Hifumi.
Then Taka's scrap and Hifumi's note.
Yup, they're from the same piece of paper.
Hifumi had the note meant for Taka, while Taka's corpse still grasped a small piece of that note. There's only one way to explain it.
Taka died clutching the note. Hifumi tried to free the note from his death grip, leaving behind only one small scrap. Did I get all that right?
That means Hifumi knew the note was important.
Exactly. Which proves that he was an accomplice in the murder.
Whoa. Yeah. After seeing all this, Hifumi was super involved in this whole thing for sure. In fact, he was behind the whole thing. In fact, he's still alive!
Sorry, no. When we found him in the repository, Hifumi was truly and completely dead. The second body discovery announcement proves that.
So then, who killed Hifumi?
Whoever did is the mastermind, the true killer.
He was killed in the repository, so he must have been killed not long after transporting Taka's body.
So, he must have been killed after Taka's...
During that time, we'd all split up and were searching for Taka's missing body. In other words, during that time, none of us have alibis.
Wait, but me and Sakura were together.
Stop trying to steal the spotlight, you stupid walrus!
Who are you calling a walrus?
Anyway, when they were killed bothers me too. But there's something that's been bothering me even more.
And what might that be?
The weapon they used to kill Hifumi.
The weapon?
Yeah, because I mean, according to the Monokuma file, the way Taka and Hifumi were killed was almost the same, with them having similar fractures and all. But Justice Hammer 3 and 4 were still laying around in the nurse's office and equipment room, right? So if Hifumi was killed in the repository, the culprit would have had to grab one of the hammers, kill Hifumi, then put the hammer back where they found it. But wouldn't that be seriously risky for him?
I'm surprised. It seems there's some semblance of a brain knocking around that skull of yours after all.
Hell yeah, it's packed in there good and tight.
He's right, though. I don't understand it either. The Monokuma file makes it clear that they were killed using similar instruments. But if the hammers were already laying around those other rooms...
So the question is, how could the culprit have gotten their hands on either of the hammers? Personally, I haven't a clue.
So which hammer was used to attack Celeste? Number 1 or number 2?
Those were accounted for in other rooms too. And I don't think either one is big enough to kill someone.
Then,
Is it not possible they used a different weapon?
I don't think it is possible. They were both killed with the same kind of thing, right?
So then, what was used to kill Hifumi? What was used to kill Hifumi?
Was it Justice?
Maybe Justice Hammer 4.
well, whatever it is, how was the culprit able? How did nobody witness them kill?
Sounds like a Justice Hammer 5 is about to check out murdergear.com/hammertime.
Well, one thing seems pretty clear. The murder weapon had to be one of the Justice Hammers.
No, it's wrong! The murder weapon wasn't a justice hammer at all. No, it was something completely different.
But, seriously? A different weapon?
Specifically, a hammer from the repository. The killer could have easily used that to kill Hifumi. Now, all the hammers in the repository were covered in flecks of grit and debris. But for some reason, one of them had been scrubbed clean.
Huh?
And the reason it had been scrubbed clean was most likely because it was used to commit murder. If the hammer got covered in Hifumi's blood, of course they'd have to clean it off. I'd also like to point out that the repository has all kinds of hammers. Big ones, small ones, and even some flat mallet-like ones. I think whoever made the justice hammers used those as a basis for their design.
If that's true, that would explain the Monokuma file's note about the wounds being similar.
So Hifumi moved Taka's body to the repository, where someone then used a hammer to kill him.
Whoever did that is the true killer. The one Hifumi was working with. And the one who betrayed him. Hold on a moment. I still think it's strange to assume someone was working together with him. The way the graduation rule works, there is no benefit to helping someone else carry out a murder. So the idea that anyone would work together like that is simply ludicrous. We talked about this, did we not? Based on the rules that have been laid out for us, even if more than one person is complicit in the murder, only the one who actually carried out the act, assuming the rule holds true. It is simply
That is how the rule...
But that only really in this case, however, there were 2 murders.
Based on the rules that have been laid out for us, even if more than one, only the one who actually, assuming the rule holds true. It is simply...
No, it's wrong! Since there were 2 murders, it's at least plausible that more than one person was involved.
What do you mean?
If there'd only been 1 murder, then yes, the idea of an accomplice isn't really worth considering. Naturally, if only one person can be saved per murder, an accomplice has no risk versus reward benefit.
Risk versus reward benefit?
The payoff for working together. The reward that balances out the risk of taking part in a scheme. There's no point in being someone's accomplice if there's no benefit to you. However, if there were some potential mutual reward for the risk, then cooperation becomes possible.
You're saying that 2 people could act as each other's accomplices to commit 2 separate murders.
I think that's what the true killer told Hifumi. They would each have an accomplice for their crime. And based on the case's events, Hifumi would have been the first one to act, murdering Taka. They made him carry out the first murder so he couldn't back out of helping them later on.
So in this case, there wasn't one single person committing multiple murders. Instead, each person killed someone, creating 2 separate incidents. And it only looked like one person because that's how the true killer designed it to look. A single suspicious individual, a similar weapon used in each crime, disappearing bodies. By creating one seamless set of circumstances, they made it look like one person was behind it all.
The mastermind picked their target and managed to convince him to go along with their plan. And then, to avoid the no accomplices rule, they simply killed their accomplice. Which, if true, means that betraying Hifumi was part of the plan from the very beginning.
That's just awful! How could anyone be so cruel?
You think so? I can't help but admire it.
I understand how an accomplice could be involved, but then who was the one pulling Hifumi's strings?
That's problem numero uno right now!
Shoot! Here's my answer. It was Celeste.
So I'm the suspicious individual now, am I? I really do hate this kind of joke.
A joke? I wonder.
So what you are saying, then, is that I specifically chose to work together with Hifumi. The idea that I would choose to spend any amount of time interacting with him, that I would go within 10 feet of that shit from brains, that lazy, worthless, goddamn idiot! Pardon.
Just to be clear, there is.
Is that so?
It is. Throughout the investigation, there was certain behavior that was common only to the two of you. Considering what we've learned so far, it only further proves that the two of you were working together.
The behavior they had in common has to do with the suspicious individual in the suit, doesn't it? The only ones who ever actually saw Robo-Justice firsthand were Celeste and Hifumi.
Shush, the adults are talking now.
Sorry.
As he said, only Celeste and Hifumi ever laid eyes on the costumed individual. If we accept that Hifumi was one of the culprits, we can't help but suspect what Celeste has said as well.
Are you saying everything they told us was a lie?
After taking Hifumi to the nurse's office, we all began our search for this individual, correct? And not too long after that, do you remember what Celeste said? We headed to the second floor specifically because of what she claimed to have seen. Next, to draw us all to the physics,
She let out a...
and when we'd all come to see what was wrong, what was it she said? Once she'd done her job of getting us all up to the physics lab, it was time for her partner to get to work. That was to signal Hifumi, wasn't it? It was your way of telling. Why else?
So you wanted to make sure.
I don't believe.
Hina, you were.
Yeah? I was. Wait!
She wasn't worried about you. She just saw.
Each piece isn't much by itself. Wouldn't you agree?
I have no idea.
Don't bother trying to deny. You made one.
Oh.
I didn't even catch it myself looking back. I can say. I'm talking about what you said after.
I remember her saying that too.
Then pay attention. Then Makoto showed up and told us Hifumi had once we were in the hall. Now, the entire time, think about it. Celeste's comment doesn't make sense. It was
Yeah, I see what you're talking about.
You hear that, Celeste? If you're really not the culprit, you shouldn't have...
All I said was, they must really enjoying the sight of us stand. They must be. We are all going to die. We are going to die. Just like, and that is all I said.
And that's all it takes to... What was so strange about Celeste's comment?
All I said was, they must really be enjoying this. Enjoying the sight of us standing around frightened. They must be. But we are all going to die here. We are going to die. Just like those.
No, it's wrong. That's right. There's no reason Celeste should have said, just like those guys died. When she said that, none of us had told her Taka was dead.
Exactly. And we didn't run into her until after we were all out in the hall. So there was never any chance for her to have seen his body in the equipment room for herself.
So how did you know, Celeste? How did you know more than one person had been killed? And how did you know they were both? Because Kyoko had also disappeared, right? So she could have been dead too.
You all have such vivid imaginations. You know that?
Imaginations?
You claim that I was lying when I told you about the suspicious person I saw. Then what about the picture I took? How do you explain this picture of the costumed villain dragging Hifumi away?
It has to be some kind of setup, right? So let's put the suit on, and then she used the camera's timer to set up the picture.
Have you so quickly forgotten? You are the only one who could have possibly fit into that suit. Plus, I happen to know that this, in other words, it is an if everything I told you was simple.
Are we sure?
What could you possibly...
Surely there are other...
No.
I got it! It's not a picture of the suspect dragging Hifumi away. I would say it's a picture of Hifumi dragging the suspect away.
That's certainly within the realm of possibility. The one being dragged off in that picture isn't Hifumi, but the person in the robot suit. We've simply been led to believe that... And the strange costume might only exist to lead us astray even farther. If you saw someone wearing something like that...
That's what happened! You put me to sleep and made me...
Is utterly impossible. Hifumi was dragging him away? Ridiculous.
Is it? I don't think it's ridiculous at all.
Then shut your mouth.
Dressed me up in that suit after I passed out. Then you just draped me across Hifumi and had him carry my...
You tried to make me look...
Like I said, as you can see in the picture, the suspect is that if the person inside the suit was, there's no way they could stand up straight like this.
No, he's wrong. No. Even if the person inside the suit were unconscious, they could still stand up like that. Because that Robo-Justice suit had a certain characteristic.
That's right! They totally made a mistake when they made it, so it couldn't bend at the waist.
I'm not so sure that was a mistake. I think the suit was designed for...
Celeste and Hifumi took the suit they'd specially designed, and that's how they were able to fix it. The point of it all was to make us believe whoever was in the suit was to blame.
Well then, I suppose this is checkmate.
Checkmate?
Don't make me laugh, you idiot! What do you mean? So clearly, you want to cram me into your little guilty box.
Have you already forgotten what...
When we asked him, he said, in other words, yes,
But my name...
Your confusing statements don't make any sense.
He did say Yasuhiro.
what the hell are you
Kyoko, what...
Think back to how did he refer to each of us?
I got it! That's right! Our last names! He called us all by our last names!
Exactly. I know I heard him say Mr. Naegi more than... So if Hifumi did mean to say he...
I'm sure it was just indecent.
Don't talk.
Random chance. Now isn't that a No. There's no reason to think he... But he must have run out of...
So Hifumi was trying to tell us the last name?
But the name he said doesn't...
Well, no. And that's Celeste.
To think you'd take your... Come on! Enough with your idiotic blather. Yasuhiro is a loser's name. Do I look like a loser to you? Well... What?
Okay, then Phyllis...
Make sure my real name is Celestia Lude...
Hifumi was trying to tell us. He wanted us to know the killer's last name. Yasuhiro.
If there's one person here who might have...
It would have to be you, Celeste.
How many times? 9, 8... Celestia Ludenberg, god damn it!
How long do you plan to go on pretending?
I'm not pretending. It's the truth. And since you have no way to contradict...
No, that's wrong! That's it! The handbook!
What?
Anytime you turn your handbook on, it shows the owner's name when it boots up, right? Monokuma told us... So all we have to do, that's how we can find out...
They...
Celeste, can you please, just please?
Even when I'm put in... Because... Until the game's over, you never...
Fine then, let me go over the case again. From the beginning, and that'll bring everything... Here's exactly what happened. Before anything, Hifumi. First, they convinced that someone they met with was Hiro. They drugged. Next, Hifumi positioned himself to make it look like Robo Justice was attacking him, while the killer used a digital. They did all this when they were done with him. And then finally, they called Taka to the... And that's where Hifumi killed him. The murder weapon, the reason hammer number 4 was used. So, next they falsed for these attacks. The first fake incident was there. The killers wanted us to see they wanted to make sure we bought. The second fake incident was this time, they planted Justice Hammer. With these two incidents, that the suspect was increasing the we fell right into their trap. While we did that, this was exactly what... We took a blood packet from the refrigerator and turned the room into a crime scene, in which he let out a scream to draw us back. Meanwhile, the other group that had been out searching, so when we heard the body discovery announcement, we left the nurse's office, and he simply got up, and when we learned his body had disappeared, and once again, Hifumi had the... He wrapped Taka's body in a tarp. That explains how each... But even Hifumi didn't know what the truth... Their plan all along was to kill Hifumi, and they did it using an order that should cover everything. Celeste! Sorry, you lose.
When was the last time they hang heavy?
Then you admit it?
I select Hayako. Yasuhiro is fine.
Hayako?
So,
I'm the kind of person, once I've lost...
Interesting.
Okay, Monokuma. Or, no, I suppose this is...
It is indeed the moment, if you would. And when the votes are tapped, will you make the right choice or the dreadfully wrong?
Honestly.
I knew it. So then...
Indeed.
Say what?
Just a second. In other words...
Indeed.
I see.
Actually... What? Are you okay with this? So then...
Damnation! Say what?
As for me... As for me...
What? Damnation! Say what? Completely unforgivable!
Most unfortunate. Actually...
What?
Indeed. Honestly.
I swear!
Actually...
I see.
Indeed.
But...
Let's see.
Well,
Are you okay with this?
so in the end,
What the heck?
Well,
Don't be mean!
I wonder about that.
Why?
What the heck?
But...
You little bit. Hey! You little bitch.
This is fine. Honestly. As for me, isn't it wonderful? This is fine. There is nothing to be done.
Just the worst.
Oh. Do you understand?
What is this?
Yes, indeed. Isn't it wonderful?
Hey...
Chills! Now then, I've prepared a very special punch. Let's give it everything we've got!
I guess I'll let Kyoko hold on to this. What? Will it really give you the hope you're looking for? Which is why... Actually... Well then, perhaps we'll meet again.
What are you gonna do?
Let me out of here!
Too bad. How strange. Hey! Hey! Wah-wah?
So then... You...
Ooh!
Hey,
Ooh! How exciting! Hello. Well? See ya later!
so...
Hey,
Indeed. Hey,
What?
so...
Come on. What? Goodbye.
well then.
Yo!
Okay.
Shall we go? So then...
You really came.
You. However, what? Indeed. What? It's true. That's fine. Correct.
What?